we will pivot over to my friend Pratima. So David gave us a very high level on content skills, and now we're going to actually kind of see it in application when you do try to boil the ocean, so to speak. What pieces of technology are out there to help you be really efficient and effective with content curation? Because you key in leadership, you're going to get multiple thousands of pieces of assets coming back at you. So trying to figure out as a learner what is the right one, and as a curator, what is the most applicable piece for that pathway, right? So Pratima's got a really great case study to walk us through with Ericsson using filtered and degreed. She is the head of learning delivery transformation. She is based in India. And like most of us in L&D, she had a very winding path here. She started out as a math and physics teacher before she pivoted into learning design and instructional design, which is always interesting. She's got a love for romantic movies. And I think kind of the connective tissue in her background is this data piece. She is definitely a Trekkie. So if you love Star Trek, throw some questions. I asked her who her favorite Star Trek character is, and it's Spock, which probably not a shock to anybody since she's into data. However, she does have a lot of emotion and feeling, which Spock really does not. So without further ado, Pratima, let's throw it over to you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for that introduction. And I'm so happy to be here with everybody. Super excited about this. Um, and once again, if I can share my screen, let me know. And if at any point of time, my slides refuse to move, do let me know that, Catherine, and maybe I'll try and fix that.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. I hope you all can see my screen now and see the slides. So, first of all, I believe what David just took us through holds such a great connect. And I was just going through what I have to talk about, and what David just said. When he talked about, look at the content differently, look at what is there, look at focus on the skills, and empower your employees. Empower the people to look at content and work through content. But how do you do that when you have a large employee population which is globally distributed? Not very easy to do, but I believe that's the next problem that we talk about. I'll maybe quickly run you through some of the key points that I wanted to talk about. I hope you all can see my slides. Okay, great. So, I believe democratizing content curation is essential towards, if you want to ensure a learning culture that is going to stay, that's going to thrive, it's very, very important that we democratize learning content curation. Because David just talked about the influencer culture. Everybody wants to know and understand that you've arrived, you know what you do, you've put in so much time and effort, and why shouldn't it be so that others don't get to benefit of your knowledge? So, and that's where learning experience platforms come in. They enable content curation, they enable the democratization of content curation. There's a flip side to it, the fact that democratizing content curation leads to overloaded LXPs. Most importantly, content cleanups, and I saw somebody putting in that comment there, is a Sisyphean task. It just never ends. It refuses to end. There is no way that you can clean up content as fast as people curate content. So that's the biggest dilemma, and I think that's the problem that we need to solve. And that's the problem that we are facing when we went out to Filtered and we said, we need a solution from you. And can you help us here? And we really had two questions to ask them. So we said, how can you support us in ensuring that when people search on Degreed, they get the right options, enhance the discoverability of the content? And how well can you tag the content to our critical skills? So at Ericsson, we have defined a set of critical skills that will take us towards 2025 full steam. So we said, can you look at our critical skills and can you tell us, you know, can you tag the content that we have from our content libraries to these critical skills? And if somebody searches for content on Degreed for these critical skills, how do you ensure that the right content pops up? That's a challenge that we at Ericsson took up, and we had the support from Filtered to help us take that forward. What did we begin by doing, and how did Filtered work that through? So, when we started off with this proof of concept, we worked with three key skill areas. So, we talked about security. We said, let's talk through security, let's talk through storytelling, business storytelling, and design thinking. So, those were the three key focus areas, key skill areas that we were focusing on. And we obviously had definitions for each of these skill areas. So when, as a starting point, Filtered started work with it, what they did was, they just cast a wide net, and they said, let's pull out all the content that is tagged to these three critical skills. Let's see what is there in the market, what is there available. And out of the 140,000 plus courses that were there within our content libraries, aligned to these three critical skill areas, we got about 1900 plus learning assets that Filtered set were aligned to the critical skills that we were talking about, as is software and component security, business storytelling, and design thinking. This information that we received as a first-hand input from Filtered, we took it to our subject matter experts, and we said, "This is what Filtered says. Do you agree with it?" The responses were good from the subject matter experts, and for example, for security, they said 66% in assets, learning assets aligned to security by Filtered made sense. For design thinking, it was a little bleak, about 40%, and for business storytelling, we had about a 72% match. For subject matter experts agreed with Filtered CI, saying that yes, it matches. We went through the content and we said, let's look at where the disparity lies. And we saw, when we asked the subject matter experts, so why do you think, which are the courses that are really, that really don't make sense to be part of this? And so there were courses which were, let's say, a patch management course aligned to security from Percipio. There was a course around data visualization for business storytelling. For at least Ericsson, it did not make sense. There was a course on agile meets design thinking from Coursera on design thinking, which we at Ericsson or our subject matter experts felt that did not make sense. So this was the input that the CI, or the content intelligence AI on Filtered, received. And with this, what they did was they did a version 1. And now what they essentially did was they reconfigured their tagging, the skills tagging, and they tried to, they cast a net again, but now with the reconfigured skill tagging. They said, okay, we need to ensure that these things don't fall into this. And then once again, whatever inputs that we received, those were shared back with our subject matter experts. This time round, we got about 1,000 plus courses. Almost half the course, about 1,067 courses were received, tagged to this, and we saw that the accuracy had really improved. So for security, we were at about 80% plus. For business storytelling, we were at 90% plus, and for design thinking, we were at somewhere around 67%. So there was almost an increase of 20 to 23% in terms of accuracy from where we started off at version 0. I believe as we keep moving forward with this, it's only going to grow, and we will also move forward to, expand on accuracies further. So now when we looked at, out of 1,067, we still had some courses which the subject matter experts said that they don't really match. So what were these courses? And this time round, we felt that, maybe there were courses around how, for security, there were courses like how hardware security. For business storytelling, there were courses like elevator pitches and presentations, which for Ericsson did not make sense, or for our target audiences did not make sense. For design thinking, we had courses like design thinking for product team management team. Again, for possibly at that point in time, with the focus that the subject matter experts were looking at, did not really make sense. So this is what we got as a residual set of tags. And then came the next interesting bit. Now that we had already tagged the courses to the skills, we asked filter, why don't you try the skill levels? Now, this is more of a difficult game to achieve. If you look at the slide out here, when if you and look at the last yellow colored bar, you will see that between the subject matter experts themselves, the SME to SME ratio of agreement is lies at about 50%. So that's where it stands. So we saw that for security, we were at about 52%. For business storytelling, the accuracy was about 35%. And for design thinking, we were at an accuracy of 63%. So that is what we achieved in terms of skills tagging. So what have we really learned from this entire exercise? We learned that in terms of in terms of tagging learning assets to skill, the content intelligence tool within filter does a marvelous job. It has almost human to human accuracy there. In terms of tagging, le- I believe levels is a more difficult task. Even at the SME level, the accuracy is not that good. But I believe, we have great scope to move forward, and I think we are at the right juncture and we'll be able to move forward with that. I think it's a great start. That's what I can say. Very happy to answer any questions that you might have. Kat mentioned to me I have 7 minutes. I don't know if I've already overshot my 7 minutes. So I couldn't look at the chat that the questions that were coming in, but very happy to address any questions that might be there. Thank you so much for your time.
I don't think you're over. I think you're right on track, and I'm seeing lots of emojis in the chat really lit up. Well, what I love about this, Pratima, is that your proof of concept really did start to prove out that the AI technology is pretty on target with your human component of subject matter experts and being able to tag and curate the content. So with that kind of extra time, if you let the technology do that lifting for you, where else can you start to add value in the organization? What else is on your to-do list as a learning professional that you want to get to that you just can't get to because you're so stuck in the weeds with this work, right? So that's pretty exciting for me.